in media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you about the latest topics, impact of COVID, as well as advancement. Now, today, our topic is COVID-19 impact on working women. The perfect woman you see is a working woman, not an idler, not a fine lady, but one who uses her hands and her head and her heart for the good of others. Since the Industrial Revolution, women have increasingly participated in the workforce outside of the home in the industrialized nations, with particularly large growth seen in the 20th century. Largely seen as a boon for industrial society, women in the workforce contribute to a higher national economic output as measured in GDP, as well as decreasing labor costs by increasing the labor supply in a society. Women's lack of access to the higher education had effectively excluded them from the practice of well-paid and high-status occupations. Entry of women into the higher professions like law and medicines was delayed in most countries due to women being denied entry to universities and qualification for degrees. For example, Cambridge University only fully validated degrees for women late in 1947, and even then only after much opposition and acclamation debate. Women were largely limited to low-paid and poor status occupations for most of the 19th and 20th centuries, or earned less pay than men for doing the same work. However, though the 20th century, the labor market shifted. Office work that does not require heavy labor expanded, and women increasingly acquired the higher education that led to better compensated longer-term careers rather than lower-skilled, shorter-term jobs. Lockdown measures and school closures affect girls and women differently across the world and may have long-term negative consequences. Working women have not faced this challenge before. Many across the world have quit their jobs to be at home with their children because schools are shut and childcare is not available. For millions who have managed work and home, the support system that enabled this balance has been pulled off. Women who work all along, from maids, cooks, and nannies to nurses, teachers, and lab technicians, from customer service and selling agents, counter clerks, and back office staff to managers, supervisors, and decision makers, all face risk to their jobs. Choosing between home and job is a tough one for most women. Working women have managed this tightrope walk by depending on several support systems: daycare for children, ready-to-eat meals, semi-processed food, easy-to-pick-up grocery assistance in running the home with help for cleaning, cooking, laundry, and other household chores, tutors, coaches, and other support staff to help manage their children's studies, projects, sports, and extracurricular activities, and friendly support in the form of group games, play dates, outings, and sleepovers. All these ease the burden of running the home for a working mother. None of these now exist in the present pandemic world. And to discuss the COVID-19 impact on working women, we have different sects of the women from the different sects of society from the different places in India. I would like to invite my first guest. She is Miss Neelam Sharma. Miss Sharma is PDP, that is Personality Development Program Trainer at the Winning Mantra Institute, Noida. Ms. Neelam is an industry professional with extensive background in sales and marketing in the aviation industry and has rich experience of dealing with top corporate clients like American Express, Cox and Kings, travel houses, etc. Owing to her family's defense background, she had the privilege of traveling extensively, exploring new places and meeting people of diverse cultures. Her love for reading, physical fitness, yoga and sports further enhances her mastery of positive life skills. Ms. Neelam has been associated for the past 6 years in training professionals in various institutes. Her specialization is to prepare students in soft skills, communication, group discussions, mock interviews, body language. She has been successful in bridging the gap between college and corporate world by guiding the students by widening their horizons and thus helping evolve their personalities. Welcome, Ms. Neelam Sharma on our show. Ms. Sharma, you know that COVID-19 has engulfed the entire world and India is one of them. And due to the COVID-19, the government has announced lockdown. And once the lockdown started, everyone was locked in the house. And the problem was mainly with the working women because they have to work from home as well as they have to take care of the family, the children, the husband, the in-laws, etc. Now, we would like to know from you the COVID-19 impact on working women. Ms. Neelam Sharma, please. Please unmute.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goel, for your kind words, and a big hello to all my fellow panelists. And Mr. Goel, particularly a big thank you to you for not only just inviting me, but understanding and using this platform constructively to discuss issues which are a direct outcome of COVID-19. So let's come to the topic of the COVID-19 impact on working women. There are many aspects of this, so to have a clear understanding, we really need to elaborate. I'll just tackle each one by one. So now what happens is, what are working women? First, we have to have a clear understanding of what are working. Women were always working. It is just that now we are talking of career women who have stepped out of the house due to financial constraints or just passion for what they want to do. So these are working women and they are across the strata of the society. That is working women. Now to move forward and further understand, have a clear understanding, we need to move a little backwards. So Mr. Goel was talking about Cambridge and, European society, Western societies. So if they were so, they had really this kind of rigid view about women coming out, studying and working, then you can very well imagine what the condition would have been in India. So it was like men would go out and keep the kitchen fire burning, and women, the house was her domain. She would stay at home and she would look after, and this was a perfect balance which worked very well for a very long time. Then came a time of when, people, a progressive mindset started happening. There was a lot of exposure, and parents, families, they started supporting their girls. Okay, fine, you go out, get yourself educated, chase your dreams and become independent. And but in the process, when the parents and the family, while they were supporting the girls to change, the change happened very rapidly, but they forgot to train their boys to cope up with those changes. That is a major drawback. They absolutely missed that bus. They did not, the boys still had their mothers, grandmothers, handling everything. See, what was considered as a respectable earlier, I remember when my grandparents, we never looked down. Okay, my nani or my dadi is doing a particular job and my dada is doing a particular job, so she is less or he is more. But over a period of time, due to exposure, the respect for women doing household work went down. It was always. So what happened was, women, they absolutely forgot to train their boys. They did not train that you will have to adjust to women who are independent minded, who have their own viewpoint and everything, and they would like you to collaborate, cooperate with them when managing a house. So this was one major drawback. Initially, what happened when women became financially independent, they would only take up jobs like teaching, or jobs where they could actually come back and handle the house, because the mindset was not there. The conditioning was not there for the family still. So they would just come back from school, they will go cook and do everything and go back. and again come back and again manage. It was working fine. But with more exposure, women getting good financial packages, greater opportunities, what happened was women realized that their career is equally important, you know, as the men of the house. So what they did was they developed a, you know, seamless functioning system by just having a support staff. Like you, Mr. Goel mentioned, it could be nannies, it could be tutors, cooks, maids, nurses, everything was available, paid support staff, if we call. And another point which I miss here is that earlier joint family was a norm. You know, so if the woman is going out, there are dada, dadi or relatives to take care of children. But this focus shifted to nuclear families. So that became a major issue. So this function, this was going with support staff. It was seamlessly going on for a very long time, and it started, you know, falling right in place. Women could follow their careers and everything, and they could manage the house simultaneously. Come COVID-19, the whole situation, this is, you see, this is an unprecedented situation. And it's led to unprecedented problems. So the whole system came crashing down. The maids, the cooks, the outdoor activities for kids, the tutors on which women banked so much for their career, it just went off. It was nowhere to be seen. So what do you do? There's a husband sitting at home who is working online. There's a wife sitting at home who is working online. There are children who are studying it online. And technology, see, we are not all women are technologically very advanced. So that was again a challenge. And with children studying for the first time online studies, they needed supervision, they needed intervention. So what happens is, women, what they started doing is they're sitting at home with their husbands. Okay, you take a little bit of responsibility. They're sitting at school with the kids and they're doing their work. See, women are, like you said earlier, women were paid less. I beg to differ a little bit. Even now, if you go to debates, women are still paid less compared to their counterparts who are doing the same, devoting the same amount of work, have the same professional qualifications and working as hard, but they're still paid less. But there's still the onus of maintaining the house comes from the women. So she's cooking, she's cleaning, she's doing everything at home, and it's never been a scene. I don't remember, at least in my lifetime, that all members of the family are under one roof 24/7. It's never happened. So when the demands increase, you know, everybody wants different meals and the work increases. So it's a vicious cycle. It's a very vicious cycle, and internet is not working at times. It's not that, you know, there are times, this is also a challenge. There are very small challenges if you look to, and plus there's a lurking fear. There's a lurking fear, there's an uncertainty looming all the time. Okay, if there'll be a COVID-19, whether there'll be a cure, if there'll be a cure, whether I'll keep my job or I will not have my job, you know, so that lurking fear is also there. So it's a very, very challenging situation for women. Now, this is again a luxury. Not all women get to work from home. There are women who have to go out. You know, our doctors, nurses, healthcare staff, police women. There are so many of them, Safai Karmacharis. In fact, their requirement, they need to devote even more time than what they were doing earlier. So those women have a double whammy. You know, they have to maintain, they have to take their stress. Either they leave their job to manage the family, or if they want to continue with the job because they're professionally qualified people, you just can't leave it. So what they have to do is they have to go out, expose themselves to this deadly virus. They have to worry about what's going on back at home. They have to worry about what if I get the virus back home. You know, so it's a very catch-22 situation. Neither can they leave their job, or nor can they actually decide what to do. So there's always stress. Earlier, what would happen? People would just go out, meet friends, socialize, and there will be some outlet for stress. That outlet of stress is not there. Children have no outdoor activity, channelizing. Children are full of energy, channelizing their energies. They have no outdoor activity. So this is again a big issue. So, and when you talk about women working from home, now just look at the economic slowdown. There's been a huge economic slowdown. Companies are cutting staff. They are cutting office space. You know, basic cost cutting measures are being taken by all companies. If you read in the newspapers, every second day, there's one major company showroom is closing. Companies are shutting down. Restaurants, outlets, they are closing down. So what happens is when these closing down, women are always worried. Okay, since we are the ones, see, either you are at a top position in the company, you are among the policy makers, and you are the ones without whom the company actually cannot function. They need you to be there. If you are not there, then there's always a fear lurking in the back of your mind. Okay, this could be the end of my job. This could be my end of my job. And this fear lurking. Then plus sales staff in most of the showrooms, if you remember, there would be sales staff who were women. Restaurants, there were women working. Secretaries, stenographers, all these people, now they are not required. Who needs secretaries when you're sitting at home? Who needs stenographers? Who needs telephone operators? Just look at these poor women who were sustaining, because these people were basically working not for luxury. They were working to contribute to the family. So their jobs have gone. They have nowhere to go. Plus, let us look at the lower strata of the society. This is again, there's a lower strata of society, daily wages, our household helps, who were not working just because ki chalo aaj time pass karne ke liye jate hain, let's work somewhere else. They were working because they needed to. They had no option. So they are sitting at home. Not everybody is paying them. Once you retrench your house, you ask them to take a leave for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it's okay. You can pay them. But since we are also sitting at home, we are also not getting the kind of perks. So it becomes very difficult to pay everybody. So their money gone, their children sitting at home. Our children have the option of studying online. Their children don't have that option. So their education is suffering. Whatever they were studying, they were learning, as it is not very quality. But whatever they are learning, they have lagging behind. They are at home. They need food 3 times. Their husbands are sitting at home. Husbands are not doing anything. How to handle children, cook, and plus their cases of domestic violence have increased against these women. So that is also a major issue. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at every strata, nobody is untouched by it. And the women are the foundation and pillar of the society. If women are affected, the society as a whole is deeply affected. The whole society goes into a crisis. So this pandemic, if it doesn't really end very soon, so it's going to be very, very challenging for a lot of people. Now, there are some pros also, of course. See, you cannot criticize everything. There are pros to this pandemic. Everybody is bonding. Earlier, children had school, friends, husbands had their own life, careers. Now you're sitting at home, you have time to chat, you watch programs together. You're devising simple and new ways to entertain yourself and keep yourself occupied. You're becoming very creative. Cooking different meals. Everybody is trying to pull in. People are actually understanding the value of women. So everybody is trying to pull in. Husbands are also doing it. In-laws are also doing it. So cooking, reading, developing indoor games, enjoying the very simple pleasures of life, which we had actually forgotten. Earlier, what would happen? We were compulsive shoppers. Any break, need to enjoy. Let's go out and enjoy. It was never sit at home and enjoy. Let's go out. Let's eat out. Let's shop out. There was so much of shopping. So commuting was again a problem, at least in the metropolitan where I stay. Commuting time has gone down. The expenses on shopping, which was mostly unnecessary. Too many clothes, too much of jewelry, too much of stuff which you realize you don't need in the long run. That has gone down. You don't need that stuff anymore. So that is again a very, very, it's like a good thing of COVID pandemic. Plus, women have started looking at the future. Now they have realized that how much they depend. They value their households as never before. Earlier we took them for granted. Okay, we pay money and they come. But now you realize how our life, we are codependent on each other. So you have a greater understanding of what they mean to us. And then now they are shopping, but they're shopping for things they're looking at in the long run. I've been on both sides of the fence. I have worked extensively long term. I have done freelancing. I have sat at home for a long time. I took a sabbatical to bring up my kids. So now if I'm shopping, I'm looking at good washing machines. I'm looking at good dishwashers, vacuum cleaners. These are things which save time, because I am better prepared to handle a situation if this comes in the future, in the long run. Because right now we don't see an ending to this. The news is, you don't know which to trust. It is in your face. There's a news from social media, from all channels, and they are so right in your face, and you don't have any trustworthy news. So you basically don't know where to look forward to. Is this pandemic going to end? Is this financial insecurity is going to end? Nothing is, working out. So women have become smarter. The families have become smarter. Children have been suggesting. My children suggest, okay, this cooking gadget is very important. It helps things fast. This is important. You know, every day we come up with ideas. So that we are never ever dependent and never ever feel so helpless. So I would like to end this with saying that now that since we don't have the opportunity to go out, so what we are doing is we are going inwards. So when I say going inwards means we are going to the basics of life. We are going more towards the spiritual balance. We are learning more patience. We are learning to deal with situations in a much better way than we could have. So this 6 months, that's the takeaway from. That's my point of view. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Neelam Sharma, for giving your views. And according to Ms. Neelam Sharma, initially, yes, when say about in the last century, when the ladies' conditions were not that great, but according to her, now when they started picking up, when the society changed their trend, and the girls and the women have started getting higher education, getting good jobs, they started going for the work. But the families have changed the psychology of the girl, but they have not failed to change the psychology of the boy. And that's why the problem started, that the men still expect the same way how they have seen their parents or father, mother, or the grandparents, that only the grandmother working at the home and the grandfather was doing outside work. So same trend they were having, and that trend has not changed at that time, and that has become a problematic for the working women. But they also found a way, and then they started taking the supporting staff like maids and cooks, etc., at home, and they were working. But now when the COVID-19 came, the supporting staff has to be again locked down at their respective houses. So there was no help. And the working women, many of them has to work from home. At that time, it was a very big challenge without any help. And according to Ms. Neelam Sharma, that, okay, there are some fortunate who are doing work from home, but what about doctors, lady doctors? What about nurses? What about the Safai Walis, and those who have to go out during this pandemic? They were having lots of stress because they have to work more, and they are always having fear to get the infection and to carry the infection at home. And at home again, they have to take care of the children and the husband and in-laws, etc. So according to her, that COVID-19 has impacted very badly. And because few of the ladies have patience to work, but many of them are working to earn money so that their household can run. And that was a very, very challenging time right now, because everything is closed, and those ladies have either lost the job or they are at home without salary. And that's the very big challenge for them. Even their children are not, because now the education is online, husband is working online, work from home, and the working woman is working from home. But what about those maids or the cooks? They are sitting at home. They are not doing any work outside. They can't go outside. The societies were not allowing to enter in the buildings. At that juncture, their children are not, because they can't afford to provide them those gadgets. They can't provide them even the internet facilities, etc. So those children were suffering. So according to Ms. Neelam Sharma, COVID-19 has impacted very badly to working women. But she has put a rider. She says the advantage is that we have come to know about the family value, not the working women, rather the other members of the family started respecting the working women. Husband has started cooperating in the cooking and coming and giving all those cooperation. So, and then they started playing the games at home, spending more time, and they have started looking inwards for spiritualism and other things. So according to Ms. Sharma, although there are lots of problems, but there are some advantages also of this pandemic. But we don't know how the pandemic and when the pandemic will end, but definitely it is going to impact very badly on the working women. Thank you, Ms. Neelam Sharma, for giving your opening remarks in
Thank
such
you
a
so
details.
much.
Thank you. Now I would like to go and invite my next guest. She is Ms. Radhika Dung Gambhir. She is the founder and CEO of the Good Karma company, which manufactures wildflower natural products. Ms. Radhika is a beauty entrepreneur, flagged bearer of the conscious beauty revolution, and lover of all things natural and beautiful. She has broken the beautiful word in beautiful. She runs on all natural skincare and beauty brand, empowers women to feel good in their skin, and drives home the message celebration of oneself. Thank you, Ms. Gambhir, for joining us. You have heard what Ms. Neelam Sharma said, and her main emphasis was that although the COVID-19 has impacted very badly to the working women, some advantages are there. But her grudge is that the families or the society has not trained the male or the boys to change themselves, their attitudes. And that is why the impact on working women as of now is far more. Although I just disagree with Ms. Sharma, yes, in our generation, yes. But the younger generation, the younger generation of 20s or 30s, nowadays, the boys and girls, they both are working, whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Mr.
Okay,
Lal, on this point.
thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes.
And as you mentioned about the early education barrier, I was also surprised to see the Cambridge universities, these types of restrictions, because my mother did her MSc chemistry in 1948. She topped Agra University. She was a gold medalist at that time from Indore Holkar College. So it shows that India was more advanced than even the European society. And she was working from that time. So I can say that we were not lagging behind from any of the European or Western society.
You were
Now,
the lucky one. You were the
thank
lucky
you.
one.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma. Yes. Now, I would like to ask the COVID-19 impact on working women. Ms. Radhika Jang Gambhir, please.
Hello, Mr. Goel. Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. A warm welcome to all the panelists on board. So, Ms. Neelam's perspective was very interesting and it was more broad based. However, I would like to talk from the perspective which is closest to me, and that is of the millennials. Now, India has over 400 millennials. Millennials are defined as those who are born after 1982, and they make up 1/3 of the population, working population. That is about 46% of the working population of our country, right? So these are the people who are really working day in and day out and churning that GDP for us. Now, I'd like to start a little bit from the point of view, from the historical point of view. So 1991, when the economy opened, companies started coming in. Before that, the job circuit was very different. It was primarily government jobs that were really coveted. And people would think, okay, my life is set if I get a government job. And slowly that shift came to corporates. It was extremely, esteemed, and you wanted to get the best white collar corporate job. And slowly we just kind of fell into that culture. And in the next 20 years, what happened was people were working 16 to 18 hours. You're not getting proper sleep. You're primarily relying on, ready to eat meals. Women were definitely the worst hit because we had to manage our homes as well as our jobs. And we had to prove it even harder at our workplace that, we're worth it. And we can do as much as the men. So our life was a bit of like a hamster. You're just waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning, and you're going to your office. You're preparing before leaving. You're preparing meals for your kids. You're coming back, and amidst all of that, you had absolutely no time for yourself. For me, I think when the pandemic happened, at least for the women, it kind of broke that cycle for them. At least for once, they were like, okay, what was I doing in all of this? Where was I? Where was my health? Where was my mental well-being? Where was my spiritual well-being? And I think that was something beautiful that happened for all of us. So suddenly all the women were like, okay, I have some time all to myself throughout the day where I can do anything that I want. Wow, how did that even happen for me? So what really happened for me was, it was very, very humbling. I had to now do all the house chores that I never did earlier. It brought us together as a family. I think that happened for a lot of people. The husbands were helping suddenly even more. They could see what their wives were doing. And the entire family was kind of, trying to work out on the situation together. As opposed to what would happen earlier, you would never even get time to reconnect with your family, with your grandparents. You would never get any time to connect with them. So suddenly people were going back to their own hometowns, from the big cities, spending time with their parents, and really understanding what is the true value of life. What is that true essence? What is that happiness that I was looking for all around? Maybe it was closer to me. It was closer back home. As women, I can tell you, a lot of us now started thinking and pampering ourselves. So, leisurely showers and just spending time with our kids, doing those little things that we always wanted to do but never had the time. So that was very beautiful. A lot of my friends I saw on Instagram suddenly were taking courses, chef's course, writing course, photography course, designing course. These were all passions that they kind of always wanted to harbor but never really got the time. And that was, I think, another offshoot of the pandemic, which seems is very small, but I think it's very, very big. Because if we become more resilient as souls, if we become stronger, if we become more patient, the more we think we have the power to overcome any situation. Pandemic is huge, the impact is massive, right from our jobs, which is our monetary lives, our personal lives. It has impacted every aspect of our lives, and we didn't have a choice to sit at home and cry about it. We had to come out victorious. So I think it made us much, much stronger as people. Today I can tell you, when I resumed my work after a long time, I am more patient. I respect each and every employee so much more. Today, as I said, it was a very humbling experience, because now when you have to do all the work at home, you understand what the workers go through, physically also it's very tiring for them. The entire staff system that you have at home, suddenly there's so much more respect for each and every person that is around you. So I think that kind of really was the silver lining for me and for so many other people. Of course, now if I have to talk about what was, little difficult for women, I think for a lot of us, that kind of fear came in. Okay, now what if we lose our jobs? We worked 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, so hard trying to prove ourselves and being financially independent. Now, what if that is snatched away from us? There, I think the government has played a very big role. They've really tried to safeguard the interests of the people. The Make in India campaign is really supporting the women and the women entrepreneurs in such a big manner. I can tell you, for Wildflower Naturals, it for us, because there was such a big problem, it pushed us to think out of the box. So for us, we kind of tried to cater to more essential goods. So say, for example, we launched hand washes, which were natural, which were as effective. So that kind of also helped us to innovate. And that is also, that also holds good for a lot of other women. It kind of pushed them to break that barrier and, and do even better and do even more. That I think is really the winning streak of the pandemic. That I think is, truly something so beautiful that has come up. I can give you more examples. My aunt, who was sitting at home for like 25 years, she's 55. Today, she learned an entire course on Vastu, and now she started her own online business. My friends who were so busy, in their corporate jobs, never got any time with their kids, gave them away to the nannies, now are spending so much more time with their kids, and now they have the option, and now they don't even want to go back to office for a while, because they're so enjoying the little balance and the little moments they were missing in office, sitting at home, and they can do that. As I said, with the working couples, I think now both of them, because earlier they would fight, they would come back and they'd say, you've not done this and you've not done that. But now I feel they're all coming together and doing things together. That is also helping them bond better. So I think that has also changed for all of us. And that's really, really beautiful. Men are respecting women more, because now they're saying, oh my God, that's a lot of work that you do all day. And I used to think, you don't really do much. But now they're also seeing that women do so much work at home, now that they're also home. And so overall, I would like to say that the pandemic, even though at the face of it was something so monstrous, shocking, kind of brought our life to a standstill. But I think when you look within at the different layers, I think it kind of instilled, it kind of pushed us to become better human beings of our, to become better versions of ourselves. It pushed us to focus, to shift the focus from outside, from earning more money all the time and spending it on useless things, to finer things, to really shift the focus to what matters to us at the end of the day. Is it the family? Is it our personal well-being? Is it our mental well-being? Is it my spiritual well-being? It pushed us to take better care of ourselves. Sitting at home, we've all switched to better diets. So physically, we're taking better care of ourselves. People are now doing yoga at home. They found more creative ways to exercise at home, to play with their kids at home. So all over, I would like to say, as a millennial, it really, yes, at the face of it, you can say the change is never good and it's so bad. And I was having so much fun, working 18 hours and then chilling in a pub and spending all my money. But I think when you look at what our life has become now, I think it has truly made us more resilient, stronger as people, and definitely better versions of ourselves. So that would be my take.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Radhika, for giving your views. And she is quite opposite what Ms. Neelam Sharma has said. She had advocated very positively towards the advantages of the pandemic. She says the main advantage of the working women or the workforce in the country is of the millennial child. And they says because they are the main 46% of the working women belongs to them. Is it correct, Ms. Radhika, the figure which I have quoted, which you quoted?
Absolutely. 43% of the working population is millennials.
Yes, millennials. And they says that they know how to do the work. And earlier, yes, they were working at their places, but now because of the lockdown, they all were working at home. They are cooperating with each other. Husband and wife are cooperating, children are cooperating, and they are learning new things sitting at home. So according to her, it is not that much bad affected as what Ms. Neelam has mentioned. And she says, we have learned so many new things, whether it's a yoga, whether it's a cooking or whatnot, painting, etc. And this is only possible because we have quality time to spend with family, leisure time, where we can have more time for the children, even she mentioned that shower she can take leisurely, which were not possible earlier, that at that time they have to rush to the office. And lots of other advantage. And she says the government good schemes like Make in India, etc., has given a very positive change in the working women. And like she's in the manufacturing of the beauty products. She has started the manufacturing the hand sanitizer, which has given a very good boost to the business as well as to the working women. So she says, and many of the women who are not even young, those who are above 50, they have learned so many new things online and they are now earning money through that. And so she is very happy. She says that as far as I'm concerned, I feel that this pandemic has brought lots of opportunities, and one has to see in that way. Thank you very much, Ms. Radhika, for giving your very positive note about the pandemic. Now I would like to invite my next guest, and she is Ms. Ruchira Sharma. Ruchira Sharma is the Regional Director of Pupil Strong. Ms. Ruchira is a business professional with 14 years of diversified experience in different industries, including IT, media, and non-profit. I am sure that non-profit organizations. A startup enthusiast, successful business strategist, and a qualified marketeer, Ruchira has keen interest in learning and development techniques and has been involved in training related to gender neutralization and prevention of sexual harassment. Currently, she works with a HR technology company based in Gurugram. Welcome, Ms. Ruchira, to our show. Ms. Ruchira, you have heard what Ms. Neelam Sharma has said and what Ms. Radhika has said. Both have said in their own way. According to Ms. Neelam, this pandemic is very effective. Rather, it's a very negative effect on the working women, and especially she is worried about those society of the working women who comes from a lower sector, not from the high higher sector, the high society working women. And she says that the conditions of them are bad. While Miss Radhika, because she being the founder and the CEO of a company, she belongs to the higher sector of the society. She says this pandemic is very good, very positive, has given us lots of opportunities which were not there earlier. And one has to see in a very, very positive way. And she has considered, because she is a millennial child, so she considered that we all have been benefited, because what reservation Miss Neelam Sharma has mentioned, that the husband has seen the parents or the father or the grandparents, so they are not cooperating. Even the children are not cooperating, but being the millennial child, she says nowadays, which I also said, because I know my children, they all are working, although sometimes I feel that I never work in the kitchen, but how come? But this is the this one has to do. So Miss Radhika, what she says is, now they all are cooperating, they are enjoying the family life as well as work also. So she says that there are lots of positivity. Now we would like to know the COVID-19 impact on working women. Miss Ruchira Sharma, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for setting the context from what it was to what it is now, when we have views from Neelam ji, which talks about the women in the working sector, and more focus on the bottom of the pyramid, and the view of the top of the pyramid that Radhika has brought in. And absolutely, I think I will play somewhere in the middle, because I see myself as as a working woman. I've been working for more than 14 years, and all these years I've had to do various kind of jobs in various industries. So whether you talk about media, you talk about retail, I think I'm in touch with friends, and at the same time we have seen how our household help, our assistants that we have had, how they have been able to cope up with this. So I'll bring the opinion from that the middle corner of the society. So if I talk about the way that this pandemic has played, and thanks to Neelam ji and Radhika for bringing the history of working women into place already, I can now take it forward and I can talk majorly on the pandemic part. Now, the pandemic has had a very, very adverse impact on all angles. If I look at it on our working women, especially the women who were working in jobs, and I'm also taking the urban set of women who were working in the lower strata of the society. So we have seen that the effect of this pandemic is disproportionate on women. And why I'm saying this is disproportionate is because women were already walking on a tight rope when they were managing their work and when they were managing their lives, their home lives, working together. They were anyway managing it, and they were walking on a tight rope. And now with the pandemic, come the pandemic, and they have to actually hold the entire family, the responsibility, the added responsibility that came with entire family living in the house, that became extremely, extremely difficult for these women. So, some women, those who are working in jobs, I'm talking about, they have had to lose their jobs. And there is a large number of women who either quit their job or who were forced to quit their jobs. Now imagine the financial burden that these families have had. Imagine the repayments of loans that they have to actually look at. If you look at the majority of industries that have been impacted, the tourism, the aviation, the hospitality, these have had major job cuts. And coincidentally, these were the industries that had maximum number of women working under it. So we know that there were air hostesses. We know that there were under tourism, there were call centers being managed. There were women who were working. Hospitality, as Neelam ji also mentioned, a lot of our where we would go, the restaurants, etc., they were women. Now we have seen that major job cuts have happened there, and a lot of women have had to lose their jobs. And mind you, this situation is coming when they are already earning less. This is already established that society, whether it is Indian or whether it is European or American, the glass shield exists for women, and they were anyway earning less. They were, anyway saving less, and on top of it, they had less resources. So, and they were working in the industry which were informal completely. Most of these women were working in informal sectors, and you see that they are more prone to exploitations. They are more prone to getting lesser income already. So earlier they were anyway earning less, and now they have had to either lose their jobs, or there are some who have actually been, who have actually had to face the pay cuts. In a lot of corporates have come out, and they have said that we would want to cut the pay cuts. Although pay cuts were done across the organization, but women were impacted even at a higher level because they were anyway earning less than men. So that comes back, and let me go very quickly into the history of pandemics and come back and tell you what has happened. So 2014, when Ebola hit certain countries, the effect and the impact of Ebola was that there were larger pay cuts for women. That means if men had a pay cut of about 10%, women had a pay cuts of more than 15%. The jobs that went most of them were women. Now that is already happened. Now what are we anticipating? What can we learn from the history? What we can learn from the history is that women took longer time to get their jobs back. And why is that? Because when it comes to bringing the jobs back, it is a social norm, or it is a social belief that if there are opportunities are scarce, then the jobs should be given to men. And this is not me saying, I'm actually stating the research that has happened. 52% of Indians have actually stated that if there is a scarcity of opportunities, we should go and give the jobs to men. So imagine that women are already getting the lesser pay, and now they are out of jobs, and on top of it, their ratio of getting back their jobs in time is even lesser than men. So that's where the working women and the majority of Indian society currently is. There is an adverse effect. Now, what I talked about was only the financial side of things, and let me tell you that research is saying that we will take almost decades to get back to where we are. I mean, there were pay cuts. So we were anyway, urban women, we were earning 70% as that of men. And today, after this pandemic, we know that we'll have to sort of start that battle from a lower end altogether. Then there are emotional, stress that a woman is currently facing. I mean, what we have done is we have built guilt in the woman, the working middle class women. That guilt comes from defining her inability to define distraction in her life. When she's sitting in front of laptop, when she's working, she's listening to her boss talking about how to ensure that we are meeting our targets, how to ensure that the company is coming out of the crisis that it is. She anyway has the fear of losing her job, and on top of it, on the other side, there is her family who is waiting to be fed. There are her children who are waiting for her to give her assistance in learning, because online classes are a new concept. So tell me, the dilemma of working women is, what is distraction for me? The distraction is the boss or the work that I'm doing, or the distraction is the family. If she's here, she feels that distraction is the children. If she's with the children, she feels work is a distraction. So that inequality that unfortunately exists in the society. And I'm very happy to see the experiences of Neelam ji and experiences of Radhika ji when they shared that people came together, the families came together. But I'm afraid that's not really the true story of the rest of the India. I'm not saying see, we are privileged class. I call myself, and a lot of us privileged class. We are hardly 0.001% of what representation of women should be, because we are educated, we have been born and brought up in the cities, bigger cities. But what about the cities where it is still a bias that exists in the society, in the families? They feel that, just like women, just like Neelamji said, that they forgot to train the boys. It's so true. In most of the families you see, in fact, let's not go to the family. Let's do a quick poll here itself. You tell me, Mr. Goel, right now, how many of your viewers, we are almost sitting at 11:20 right now. How many of your viewers are currently tensed about what is going to be, what is going to be the menu of the lunch? I am 100% sure 60% of your audience has already left in the kitchen, and they are currently working in the kitchen to ensure that the lunch is served by 1 o'clock, right? So, in all of this, we actually, the whole norm of the society, कि देखो आपकी शादी हो गई है, देखो आप जितना मर्जी काम कर लो, लेकिन आप ना किचन से बाहर, किचन की जिम्मेवारी आपसे नहीं छूट सकती है। ये जो नॉर्म है ना, ये चेंज करना बहुत जरूरी है। अगर हम इसको इस समय पर भी चेंज नहीं कर पाए, तो we are actually, going towards a very skewed ratio of women. This bias has to come, and let me put numbers here. And these are not even the pandemic numbers. These are 2016 data, which says 360 minutes were spent by a woman in household work, which is unpaid, by the way, and a lot of times unacknowledged as well. Let's accept it. So 360 against 360 minutes that a woman spent, there were 36 minutes that a man spent on the household work. And you can imagine this ratio going bonkers when you put the COVID situation in the middle, right? So the unpaid and acknowledged work has to be given preferences. We as a society need to acknowledge this. And I also want to take this opportunity to urge corporates. Now with working from home, corporates have already entered our homes, right? You have laptops, you have, when you needed us to work, you provided us laptops. When you needed us to, ensure that we are obviously working, there are longer working hours, there are, goals that we are driving. We are given the responsibility to bring the company out of the crisis, right? So you have already entered our home. Now you need to ensure that the whole stigma of men and household work is also destigmatized. You need to be more create more awareness in your working men, that they should be celebrated. The men should be encouraged to work and to ensure. I remember in my team, for example, when we had our team meetings in March and April, a lot of my male colleagues actually came up and said that I've just done the jharu and pocha in the house, and now I'm ready to work. So, and we all celebrated it, we all appreciated it. I think corporates, now that they have entered our home, they need to ensure that the balance is there, and the destigmatization of household work vis-a-vis men is already there. I think that is the most important aspect that we need to take care of. And of course, the positives have happened. I totally agree with Radhika. I mean, although I'm from the IT industry, and we were never on leave. In fact, the number of leaves that I would have taken pre-COVID has gone even less. I'm even giving my Saturdays and Sundays, and so is a lot of organizations. So in certain industry, I would say the work has increased, and our work balance ratio has completely gone out of the toss. And but at the same time, there are a lot of positives that have happened. So yes, people the people have turned into chefs. Men have gone into kitchen, and they have started experimenting with dishes. I wish they were also experimenting with washing the dishes as much, but yeah, okay. Then I see a lot of women, a lot of families have gone back to joint families, because they figured that there is no point living in bigger cities, or like if we have to work from home, we might as well just go back to our parents and spend more time with extended family. That way we also get support. Our children are also taken care of. So I think that shift has happened the nuclear side of things have actually gone to the family, joint family side of things. So that is also a very positive change that I see. And of course, men have also entered the kitchen. So I think that's definitely a good change from what it was. So overall, I feel that, emotionally, physically, there is, from a working woman side, I see that there is a lot of stress, a lot of, distress, a lot of anxiety. As Neelamji mentioned, the number of calls for domestic violence have gone up. NCW has seen that, the calls in March itself were doubled, and there were anxiety. The women were calling up and they were like, when is this going to end? When is my guy going to go back to office? Because that was a more suitable situation for me. I was able to actually take care of my household, and I was actually able to take care of my home much better. So that has, those things have gone up. We've seen that sexual abuse at home has increased. Over 243 million women all across the globe have actually come up, and said. In France itself, the number is 30%. So yes, that is there. That needs to be taken care of. The government needs to ensure that there is sustainability, coming into picture. But overall, yes, in certain ways it is positive. But in a longer run, if we have to sustain this way, I feel that we as a society needs to build a equal platform for both men and women.
Society has to build a equal platform for the men and women, says Ruchira Sharma. And according to her, this pandemic has harmed very much for a working woman. And when I was listening to her, I was just thinking that I should have a program for working men also. Why only working women? We must hear their voice, because they have to sit in the house for so many months and see the face of their wives. That is also cruel. They say that it's a cruelty. I have read somewhere in the media that somebody has filed a case in the court that we should be allowed to go out. We cannot tolerate this type of harassment. We have to sit at the home. Anyway, that is in a lighter way. But what Miss Ruchira Sharma has said, I am sure she is also a millennial child. She said she has given her view from the middle. She says Miss Neelam Sharma has given the views for those who are on the lowest of the pyramid, and Miss Radhika has given the views of those who are on the top of the pyramid. But she says she wants to give from the middle side, and she says pandemic has hit very badly for a working woman, and she has given data, and she says that initially also, pre-COVID also, the women were not getting that much salary what the men were getting. Secondly, they were, whenever there is a job cut, the first job cut will be for women, as well as for the salary cut. The percentage of the salary cut is more for women than the men. And when the opportunity will come after the pandemic, the men will be recruited first, then the second or the third preference will be women. So according to Ms. Ruchira, its pandemic is very bad. Although there are few advantages that now, because those who are working from home, they can go to their joint family, enjoy the extended family with them, because they can work from anywhere. But for those who are not having that luxury and they have to go to the office, it is very, very tough time for the working women. Thank you, Ms. Ruchira, for giving your such a balanced views, and not from one side or the other side. Now let's go to our next guest, and she is Miss Princey Jain. Miss Princey Jain is Senior Paid Marketing Specialist at Hyderabad. I will ask this question to you because I have heard this paid word. Is there any senior marketing specialist who are unpaid also that I will ask you, because it is written in your bio that you are senior paid marketing. Anyway, Miss Princey was born and brought up in Morak, Rajasthan. She completed her graduation BTech IT branch from Jaipur. She started her professional career in Jaipur, then moved to Ahmedabad, Pune, Mumbai, and currently working in Hyderabad. Welcome, Miss Princey, to our show. You have heard what Miss Neelam Sharma, Miss Radhika, Miss Ruchira has given their views. One has given that top, the lowest bottom of the pyramid, another has given the top, and the third one is given middle. But the views were very common. They says that effect is there, no doubt about it. Opportunity is also there. How you see the pandemic, whether you want to enjoy the this benefits of the pandemic, or you want to see the hindsight of the pandemic. So both the sides, they have put it. Now we would like to know from you the COVID-19 impact on working women. Miss Princey Jain, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you all of them, all the panelists who has presented their views about the working women's effect and the pros and the cons, which has actually affected the women's life. Eventually, it has affected, and it has improved in other sense also. So. It's like they have affected in both of the case. Like the pros is also there, the cons is also always there. So it's like we are surviving, we are struggling through this, and we are still managing the things. Living through this pandemic is not necessarily something I would ever thought that will ever happen in my life too. Still, we are managing the things. We are struggling with the virus. We are trying that we'll fight with this, and eventually we will overcome to this. Thanks for this. I am very excited to be the part of this webinar. I hope the discussion which we are having in some or other way will create the complete or the bigger awareness towards the women, which actually we are affecting. I've heard all the views of all the panelists, like what are the scenarios and what are the sectors women are affecting, and what are the things which is like increasing, like what are the improvements in the society which we are seeing, like the boys the men are going to the kitchen, and they are even helping to the women in the kitchen and other household activities also. But still the women are struggling in terms of jobs, in terms of the benefits which actually she required. Women are actually represented and sometimes they're getting jobs but poorly paid. Like already Ruchira has already conveyed that women are actually paid, but they are less paid than men's, but and they are also less paid without any benefits. Just like domestic workers, we can say the casual laborers, street vendors, and some small scale vendor services like hairdressers, fashion designers, saloon services, etc. Women are the main caregivers in their homes, in the communities and the health facilities, and in this whole scenario, they are putting their life at risk because they have to move out and they have to take care of the family simultaneously, and still they have been put on the second spot. Like men's are still the priority one, and they have been put on the second spot. There are many factors which I can include into this, but all of the panelists have included all the major sections, like the broad views they have represented them. I would like to narrow down few of the important sectors which need to be highlighted over here. The first one I would like to take is like health workers. Most of the health workers, such as doctors, nurses, the nursing staff, these all are women. And they're just providing their 24/7 services to help the nation, to provide the services to care the person who is struggling with this virus, and still they're not getting the benefits which they are actually into, because some of them are facing the pay cut, some of them are giving the 24/7 services, still they are not getting the pay on time. So this all are the women who are facing it, because most of the women are nurses and nursing staff who are helping the doctors and to perform all the activities to save the nation, and without thinking a second thought of the families, they are just helping to the doctors and all the persons who are suffering from this virus. So that is the sector that women need more concern, more benefits that they are actually required, which they are not deprived of this. Second sector I would like to highlight is the airline sector. Since this lockdown happened, airline industry has been adversely affected. Like they have been impacted by a lot of things. Yeah, you can see the most of the crew members, airport authorities, these all majorly are women's, like women's are majorly working over there. And some of them, because of this lockdown, many of them lost their jobs. Many have faced pay cuts, like that has impacted them. So and that's why they are facing it, and now they're struggling for the job so that they can survive in the regular day-to-day routine. Talking about unskilled laborers, like the laborers who are not skilled that much, they are not aware about they are not belong to the higher society or the communities which we belong. The unskilled laborers are generally the homemaids or the women who are working on a daily wages, like sweepers, the cleaning persons. They have a major hit by this COVID situation. So because like we all we are working women over majorly are like working women, they need some caregivers for their children, or they want some homemates for cleaning and all the household activities, because they were like in support system for the working women who are working outside. Now because of this COVID situation, now everyone is like everyone needs security and protection because of the virus. They have stopped, the only source of income is us, and now because of the situation they have lost the job and they have migrated to the hometown. And eventually I'm afraid about the future, like it may cause the negative impact on our society, like because the scarcity of the jobs, like they are not getting the payment, they are not getting the food to eat on a regular basis, that will impact in a negative way. Like they can, because they will find some short term of earning, like they can start doing the robberies and all this could be the negative impact on the society. So that is impacted a lot, like this unskilled labors is a hard hit on the society by the COVID situation. Apart from this, there are many sectors, scenarios and situations which I could think of, which has been affected the lives of this lives of the woman. Just for an example of the teaching line, small scale vendors, saloons, and the single mothers, especially because they were handling their kids alone with the help of the support caregivers which were coming to their home now. And because of this pandemic, they are not being able to handle this all thing alone. So there are many other sectors which I can include, but these are the main sectors which I want to highlight, because they need, some sectors are being like the women are supported, but the terms of benefits they are lacking. In terms of jobs, they are lacking. The people are like women are getting they are pay cut, they are facing the pay cuts, they are losing the job, they are struggling for day-to-day life. Eventually I would say it helped a lot for a working woman also, because the husbands which are there, which were not aware about the things which we are doing on a daily basis, like going office, cooking and every stuff, cleaning and all the things. Nowadays they are spending time with us, they're getting to know like what are the things that we are doing and what are the struggles we are doing on a day-to-day life. They are coming and helping us. No doubt we are with the family now, people are moving to their family. Eventually this is helping a lot in building the household activities, like the family activities, like we are involving in the families and all. But in other way it is also impacting the women's. So it's like all the way we can say it's, we have a pros also and we have a cons also. Eventually if I would say there are more cons, because women are struggling now for the jobs. And as sorry, as Ruchira also conveyed that if we would ask anyone, like in the scarcity of the jobs, like we are right now, there is very few limited jobs over here, and if we will ask any person in the entire nation for the jobs, then men would be the preference, of course. And if women will be given a chance of the paid jobs of the caregivers in the family, women will take care, women will believe that they will take care of the family because they are more pro in taking care of the families. So this is the thing, like this is the mentality of the society as of now, that we had to need, but that we need to change. Because right now it's like, no doubt the men's are helping us in household activities, but there are many certain ways which need to be improved in the society. So at last I believe, I would like to conclude that this virus no doubt is helping us in other way, but it is making a gender gap even more.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Princey Jain. Although you have not replied my first question, what is the meaning of the paid marketing specialist? If you don't mind, is there anything called unpaid marketing specialist also, or it is just a?
It's just a designation which we
Okay,
get. It's
okay. Thank you very much. Now, what Miss Princey Jain, what she says is, she says that we have to see those workers who are working in different departments. So first she has taken up the case of the health workers. She says they have been hit very badly, whether it's the nursing staff or the health workers, women. They are working day and night. Either they are not getting their salary on time, or even they are not getting salary at all. Many hospitals cannot afford to give them. So that is a very bad situation of that particular sector. Then she has given the example of the airline sector, where also she said the whether it is cabin crew or those who are working at the airport, those women have either lost the jobs, or they have been, salary has been cut drastically. So that is also a second thing. And thirdly, she says that the main impact is the unskilled labor, or those maids who are working, daily wage earners. They have also worked, they were working, and they were hit very badly, because nowadays from work from home, and first is about the infection, whether the infection can come through the maid or other servants, and secondly because of the everyone is at home. So the requirement of the staff definitely is not that much when it was when both the husband and wife are working and both were out, and then somebody is required at home. So according to her, although she said that there are some advantages, but she says the cons are more than the pros. Thank you, Ms. Jain, for giving your views. Now I would like to come to Ms. Neelam Sharma. You all have spoken very clearly, and the general view is, except Ms. Radhika's view, the majority view, I will say, is that the working women has been impacted very badly. But why now? Ms. Neelam Sharma, my question to you is, pre-COVID era, it was like this. Your salaries, as you all have agreed, that the salaries of the women were less than the men. Yes, it was. You can see the example of any Bollywood or film artist. You can see the example of the cricket team, hockey team. What is the condition of men cricket team? I am sure four of you may give the name of many of the cricketers, men cricketers name, but you will not give even 10 names of the women cricketers now. This is called double standard from both the side. I will not say the men, the women also. So when it was like this, it has to happen, and this is the responsibility of women, not the men. How you will make your space in the society. How many prime minister we have? Women, only one. How many president? Only one. And we are praising, no, we are gender equal, and we are so much women empowerment we have, so many. We are hypocrite. We are in this society. When we are in this society, how you expect that in this pandemic, working women will not be affected much? Definitely working women has to be affected. And as you have mentioned that earlier, the male men were not trained because they were seeing their grandparents and the parents. Yes, who is responsible? The mother. I will say the mother is more responsible. She always, I'm sure you might be knowing this, she always give preference to the boy than the girl. So the society is to be changed. And for that, I am sure you all have to come forward and do this. What you say about this, Miss Neelam Sharma? Please. Please unmute. Please unmute.
There is so much I can say on this.
No,
See, the thing is,
you have to be
no,
very brief
no,
because the
no.
time is.
This is a very, touchy thing which you have actually. See, when you heard me, I would have never even once mentioned that men have trained men differently. I always said parents. A set of parents. I never once on the verge of, I was not sounding feminist at all, because in fact, I am one person who believes that if I'm traveling in a train, if I'm fit and fine, why should I ask a guy to stand up? I believe a level playing field for both men and women. And in fact, I agree with you on this point, that it is women who are more responsible for the condition of women. It is there, because if women change, like I mentioned earlier also, women are the main foundation of the society. So if they change everything, so when I see that way, you can't call us a hypocrite. I have changed my son. I have a son who is 24 years old, but and I have a daughter who's going to be 21. So, but what I did was, when I was teaching, I never told my daughter, because you're a girl, you go to the kitchen. I taught my son first. Then I taught my daughter. I taught him, I told my son. And in fact, my mother would tell me that, listen, don't argue with your husband, because ultimately a woman has to bend down. I told her that at the point of friction in a marriage, if there is some kind of disagreements, I would rather have that, so that my children learn to have a point of view. My daughter learns to respect me, rather than, going by life just, and at the end of the time regretting that I could have done this better. So that is something, and again, you have mentioned, you have a very microscopic view of women. You think that women probably don't know what is going on in sports, what is going on in life. I believe in equality. No one should be given favor. It should be, parity at all levels.
Sorry, Ms. Sharma, I think you have not taken my point rightly. I have not said that you are not taking interest in sports. I am saying that today the society, the whole, and including women, they are favoring only the male cricketers or the male actors. That's why the payment is more. See, like I think those who are in marketing, they knows that whatsoever the demand, the supply will be of that. Today, why the cricketers, male cricketers, are getting crores and crores of rupees for endorsing the products. How many women cricketers are endorsing the product? This is because although they are endorsing the products which even the women are also using. So I'm not saying that, I'm saying the entire society. And when the women, they knows that they have to come up, they have to come up together. They should not depend on the man that they will do something. Why they will do? You have the full power to do it. Yes, please.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
I am,
absolutely.
yeah.
No. I see, on this point, I absolutely agree with you.
Okay.
Because when people talk about pay parity, I always believe, like Bollywood stars, or like Serena Williams last year had this issue about paying. See, anybody who draws crowds gets paid more, and that's absolutely fair. And like you said, women need to change.
Yes.
Men need to change. It's a patriarchal society. So a lot of things, but women can change with the support of men.
Yes, thank you.
Without their support. That is the important point.
Thank you, Ms. Neelam Sharma, for giving your views. Now, my question to you, Ms. Radhika. You have advocating very, as far as the pandemic is, brought a very lots of opportunities. But what about the lower staff? As Ruchira and Ms. Princey has mentioned, we have to think of them. And see, after all, we are a society, we are a social animal, we are in the society. We should not think of our own self. We should be not that selfish. We have to think for everybody. And if what Ruchira and Princey has mentioned, and the figures, and we know that in the media also, and we know everywhere, that they are very badly hit. And they are going to be hit in the future also, as Ms. Ruchira has mentioned, that they are not going to get the job easily. So when this is the situation, why the upper society women should not also think of those who are the lower in that not up to their level, and they are suffering. So don't you think the working women has suffered a lot? yes, there might be a classification that the on the top they might have not suffered that much, but the lower have suffered a lot. I can give you an example of online teaching. Now the online education, everybody is talking online education. You can afford to have 3-4 devices at your home. Think of a maid servant. How many devices, how many mobile smartphones she can have over and above the internet, the net charges. It's not easy. For 5-6 hour classes, how much money she has to shell out to educate the child? Don't you think that the higher society, working women, has also the responsibility for those who are in the lower sector? Miss Radhika, please. Please
Thank you so
unmute.
much. Hi, thank you so much, Mr. Goel, for asking me the question. First of all, I'd like to clarify that my perspective was never from the point of view of the upper class versus the lower strata. It only came from a working middle class. We are the working force. And it was more from the perspective of our health, mental well being, spiritual well being, all of that in totality being deteriorated over the past 10 years. We have seen more cases of depression. We've seen more cases of mental well-being, being compromised, and also creating, a very structured organization where only few people are dictating what you should wear, what you should eat, how you should talk, where you need to hang out to maintain that class or to maintain that, So it was a very nice break from that, because now it gave you the chance to find your true identity, to find who truly you were. And that had nothing to do with being rich or with being poor. And as I said right in the beginning, for me personally, it was a very humbling experience, because as women, for the past so many years, while we've been working, we have heavily relied on our support system, whether they are maids, our drivers, our gardeners, our nannies. We have so heavily relied on them, and we just took that life for granted. Because I'm earning and because I can afford that, I don't need to care about them. For me personally, I can tell you that now that I'm doing all of my work on my own, in the past 2 months, we have employed 5 women workers. Today, our ratio of working women versus working men is actually 70-30. In my marketing team, I have taken 2 women. My entire, my lab, the entire team is now only women. So it's not like we are not doing our bit. And like you yourself said, society is made of us. We have to change it. It is up to us. Mothers taught their sons, what my grandmother taught my mother was that your brothers are more important. My mother kind of gave us an equal ground, but today it's up to me to teach my daughters better, to teach my sons better. So it's my duty. I cannot blame it on anyone else. I have to take that onus first.
Thank you, Ms. Radhika. Ms. Ruchira, time is very short, but you have mentioned about the financial burdens, and you said that the financial burden will be there and how the society will cope up. Now, what suggestion you want to give? Because the time is short, so I will not be able to take the suggestions from everybody. Any suggestion you want to give to the government and any advice to public at large? Be short.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I think of course there are multiple things that we as a society can do. The government, the action for them would be that they need to provide some sort of a social protection to women. The raging number of calls in terms of domestic violence, that needs to be tabbed, and that needs to be taken care of at a very serious level. The health insurance can be provided to women, the stress and the physical work that they are doing. I think that insurance needs to come into place. As corporates, we need to understand that women have added responsibility of, household. So we need to provide them paid leaves, maybe paid sick leaves as well, more sick leaves. As a government, I feel, our responsibility should be to ensure that there are easy credits and, loan bailouts are available. The moratorium period is extended for women. I feel that for women especially, we have a lot of women who are single parents.
Be short, please be brief.
Extended.
Okay, thank you very much.
You can demand as much,
I understand there are lots of demands, so I have to keep one more program for this. Now, my last to Miss Princey Jain, you have heard everybody. What are your suggestions if you have to give any suggestions to the government or to public at large? Be brief, please, brief.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for this. For me, I would suggest government to provide such schemes that would help the person who are in need. Talking about the healthcare person, we should provide the benefits which they are required. Talking about the unskilled laborers, if we are not able to, like, if they are not able to get the required source of income, they should get a proper jobs. If they are not getting right sector in right jobs, they can get a, like, if government should provide such kind of scenarios, such kind of
Okay.
helping centers for them, so
Okay.
eventually that will be helpful for all of them.
Okay, thank you very much. So today you have seen that how much impact on the working women due to this pandemic. Although there are voices which says that yes, there are opportunities. One has to see the opportunity also, because by only crying everything, you will not achieve. But there are very serious concern, and we have to think of the entire society. And I'm sure government is also taking lots of care, but still we all has to change ourselves. As one of the panelists says, we have to change our mentality, and all the society, we should consider women more important than men. And there is no force more powerful than a woman determined to rise. And today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon se Samvad Saroka News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. Our endeavor is to bring every day new topic. And tomorrow's topic is the reverse of what we have discussed today. That tomorrow's topic is COVID-19 role of homemaker. Today it was on working women. Tomorrow is a role of homemaker. And our panelists are Miss Neelam Bhargava, LLB, LLM, B.Ed, homemaker Singapore. Miss Meenakshi Agrawal, MSc, B.Ed, homemaker Mathura. Miss Archana Agrawal, MA, homemaker Mathura. And Miss Akshita Nayak, MSc, counseling psychologist, founder, chairperson, here Dharwad. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Miss Neelam Sharma, Miss Radhika Jang Gambhir, Miss Ruchira Sharma, and Miss Princey Jain for joining and giving your so frank opinions. Thanks a lot.